So last time we talked about number bonds and using them to help us write addition sentences. But today we're going to use number bonds to help us write subtraction sentences. But first, we're going to go over what number bonds are and review them from what we talked about yesterday. So yesterday we said that a number bond helps us break apart a number into pieces. So the number that we break apart is called our whole, and the pieces are called parts. So we start with a number, and then we take all the pieces of that number and we put them into different circles. So I'm going to show you how we do that. So we're going to start with a number. We're going to start with the number 7. And so that's how many I have by whole, is I have 7 altogether. And then I'm going to start breaking it up into parts. And I'm going to break it up into 2 parts. So I'm going to circle some of my pieces to figure out what kind of parts I want. So I want this in a part, and I want this in a part. So my first part is going to be this one. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Then my second part is going to be this group. 1, 2, 3. So just like when we were talking about addition before, we were talking about joining groups, this time we're taking our whole and we're breaking it up into our groups that we would join to then make our whole again. So if we start with our whole, we're breaking it up into 2 groups. So I had 7 as my whole, and I broke it up into 2 groups, one with 4 and one with 3. So basically, when we join our groups of 4 and 3, we can get 7. This is what we went over last time, is that you can put your parts together to make your whole. So our part of 4 plus our part of 3 is our 7 whole, or our part of 3 plus our part of 4 is our 7 whole. It doesn't matter which one you start with. When you join the 2 groups together, they still make the same whole. So we're going to practice again, breaking up our number bond into its whole and parts. So for our parts, we're going to count them first. So let's count our blue parts first. We have 1, 2 blue parts. Then we have 1, 2, 3 red parts. So we have a part of 2 and a part of 3. And we put them together, we join them together. Remember, addition means to join, and we create our whole, which is this right here. So let's count how many in our whole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 in our whole. So we're going to use our parts in our whole to help us write some subtraction sentences. So let's start practicing that. Let's see. We're going to need to know our whole and our 2 parts. So let's count our parts. Our blue part, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And our red part, we have 1, 2, 3. So we have a part of 6 and a part of 3. And then we have to count our whole. So our whole has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in it. So our whole has 9. And then we can take our wholes and our parts and write some subtraction sentences. So when we're writing subtraction sentences, we start with our whole, we take away a part, and then we see what other part is left. So if I start with my whole of 9, and I take away my part of 6, there's only one part left, and that's the part of 3. So 9 minus 6 is 3. So if you look at our picture, if you look at our whole, and you say, you say how many red dots are in there, you would see 3 because that's our part that's red. So we write another one. Remember, we start with our whole, and then we have our part and our part. So if I start with my whole of 9, and I take away my part of 3, there should be only one part left, and that would be the part of 6. So we're going to practice this again a few more times. So let's count how many in our parts. In our red part we have 1, 2, 3. In our blue part we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a part of 3 and a part of 5. And together they make our whole, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Our whole is 8. So we have a whole of 8, a part of 3, and a part of 5. So we're going to write our subtraction sentences. So we start with our whole, we take away a part, and then we see which part is left. So we start with 8. Let's say we take away our part of 3, then our part of 5 is going to be left. We start with 8 again, we take away our part of 5, and our part of 3 is going to be left. So we could write subtraction sentences for this number bond, which would be 8 minus 3 equals 5, and 8 minus 5 equals 3. So we're going to practice this a few more times. So we'll start with our parts. 1, 2. We have a part of 2. And we have a part of 1, 2, 3, 4. A part of 4. And then we'll look at our whole. How many are in our whole? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 in our whole. And now we can write our subtraction sentences. So we start with our 6 on both sentences. And we look and we say, on our first one, we're going to take away our part of 2. And if we take away our part of 2, we're left with just our part of 4. On our second one, if we take away our part of 4, we're left with our part of 2. So we can come up with the subtraction sentences. 6 minus 2 equals 4. And 6 minus 4 equals 2. So let's do this one more time. So we're going to start with our whole this time. So let's count our whole. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 in our whole. And then our parts, we have 1, 2, and 1, 2. So our parts are 2 and 2. And we're writing our subtraction sentences. We would say, start with our whole, which is 4, take away a part of 2. So we take away a part of 2, there should be one part left, and that would be 2. But if we switch our parts, they're the same number, so it doesn't change our subtraction sentence. So it should also be 4 minus 2 equals 2. And remember, if we were going to write an addition sentence for this problem, it would look a little different. We would do a part plus a part equals our whole. And so our two parts, 2 and 2, should equal our whole of 4. So you could write addition sentences, or you could write subtraction sentences using number bonds.